Gender inequality takes many forms depending on the economic structure and social organization of a particular society. Women are primarily at the disadvantaged end when compared to men in similar situations. Women often receive lower pay for the same or comparable job in the job market and are frequently blocked in their chances of advancement, particularly to top positions. News Central's Chidinma Wonsu tells us more.
In a society divided by gender, the burden of household chores and access to higher education limits women's ability to enjoy the many opportunities and benefits of citizenship as men do on an equal level in all sectors.
Number one thing that made this gender inequality become a way of life, especially in a terrain like Africa, like Nigeria, as the case may be, is you look at what we call the religions belief, religions freedom. There's really no sexual equality when it comes to religion. There are a lot of religions that they've made in such a way that as a man, you can do this, as a woman, you can do, especially for the female.
Gender equality has always been a topic of debate. As gender inequality creates bigger barriers for girls and women, today's gender equitable programs target girls and young women specifically as leaders and beneficiaries, while enlisting boys and men as supporters for change. Has this theory become an idolatry where gender equality, sexism, and global injustice are accepted as a way of life?
There are laws that govern gender-based violence, the sexism, and inequality. There are no laws that governs idolatry. And this is where we need to strike the balance.
So it can only be said to be erroneous to believe that gender inequality is what is actually, is what is being practiced today in our society. That is not correct.
In a discussion at the second 2021 University of Cape Town UCT Vice Chancellor's Open Lecture, renowned Nigerian author Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie spoke on idolatry of theory, a defense of storytelling.
I was at a small gathering with some women talking about sexism, how women in the West are paid less. One of the women then said that based on her own experience, it was women who had most let her down. She told stories of a woman who lied to her boss about her, a woman who was much harder on her than on her male colleague. Sometimes, she said, women are their own worst enemies. Now, the rest of us immediately said, no, don't say that. We did not engage with what she said. We silenced her. My voice was one of the loudest in that silencing. I told myself that she was victim blaming. Our theory was that sexism was what men did to women. Thinking of that experience, I began to see that in many of the debates we have about our world, we're often afraid to run afoul of theory, when in fact, we should be afraid to run afoul of truth.
In her words, theory gives us a framework to think about the world, but we should not give it primacy, because when we do, we start to walk backwards. Chimamanda says storytelling enables people deal with the world in all of its glorious and complicated messiness, because life itself is messy. Chidinma Nwosu, reporting for News Central.